Good afternoon. Instead of doing the webinar this week, I thought we'd take a quick look at Eastman Kodak EK and the lessons that it gives us in this market. I've said many times over the years that some of the best trading lessons a trader will ever learn are ones from losses and how he or she reacted to those losses. That's usually what determines whether you're going to last a long time in this business. So the case study today is Eastman Kodak. This is a stock that we've played quite a few times over the last several weeks. It's had that patent news. It's been really volatile. And this is a play a week or so ago, actually a week ago Friday, that we picked up a scalp position on this one. This is a stock, like pretty much everything else, had been hammered over the previous week on a drop in the market and looked like it had put in a very nice bottom a week ago Friday at 232. Rallied into the closed at 240, I believe, on the day. Very nice action. Then after hours, they came out with news that they borrowed $160 million, and the stock plunged 25% down to $1.90 in after hours, and actually opened at $1.85 Monday morning. And, you know, just looking at the key support levels on this chart, before this stock had broken down and when we jumped into it, that 222 was a very strong support area. Had bounced 3 times previously off it, and that is why when we actually entered this small half scalp position a week ago Friday, the stock had held above that previous triple bottom support there and actually bounced into close. So even though this ended up being a losing trade, it was one of those things, news trumped the chart, and you can never fight news in the stock, especially when it gaps down. I mean, we had our stops at 220 on this entry at 232. Stock gapped down massively. There was no way to get out of it. That is going to happen. How you react to that loss and how we reacted to that loss really is what this is all about. Monday morning, we came in, stock was down quite a bit, and we placed our stops at $1.75. Very steep decline from where our entry was. We were looking at a 30% loss. Ordinarily, in a decent market, which, by the way, we are not in, and depending on the news flow, I probably would have pressed my bets on this stock, but nothing has been bouncing in this market, and you know, this has been a market of sell first, ask questions later. And the fact that Eastman Kodak had dropped as much as it did on what seemed like innocuous news, I mean, when you looked at it at face value, a company that does most of their sales in the fourth quarter, tapping their credit line when all their cash is locked up overseas, really makes sense. But the reaction in the stock price did not make sense, and this has been a bad market. So we used that previous $1.75 low as our worst case. If it went there, we were out. The stock ended up tripping those stops late in the day, dropped to $1.73. We cut our losses, and we moved on. And, you know, quite a painful loss indeed, down almost 35%. In a day, really, from that previous entry. Next morning, it did the inevitable dead cat bounce, and I know some guys actually picked this one up, but it was still unable to break that $2 level, and that's when I said, get the hell out. $1.95, take the money and run, take the loss and run. Now, you'll have traders who refuse to take a loss, and this is where they end up paying. The stock dropped steeply the next day, did another little dead cat bounce, and then late on Friday, bankruptcy news started swirling around that they're hiring bankruptcy lawyers, and the stock hit an intraday low of 54 cents. So what is the lesson here? You took a painful loss on the stop at $1.75 and took a 30% loss. The trader that did not, that held and hoped, that doubled down, this trader who was in at 230 or even at $1.75 just lost 80% of his money just like that. So, you know, the market back in January and February of this year, this might have been a play where you could have held and could have pressed your bets. But this is a market where rumors are rampant, robots are in control, and taking the painful loss here ended up saving you big time. And the difference between a trader who took his loss at $1.75 and the trader who didn't is this trader who booked the loss here, odds are pretty good. He's going to last a long time. The guy's still riding it down here, not so. So while, even though this was a bad trade, that news sort of trumped us and we sold it for a loss. That trade ended up being a very good trade based on the action we saw now. Now, going into the weekend, late on Friday, Eastman Kodak came out and said, we're not going bankrupt. That's just the normal course of action. The stock that reminds me, this reminds me of is Blockbuster. Same sort of thing. We're not going bankrupt. We've got lots of cash. The stock bounced around. Inevitably, they went bankrupt. The reason they're saying Eastman Kodak has to go BK is they've got companies like Google interested in buying their patents, but if they buy the patents and EK eventually goes bankrupt, those companies that buy their assets are going to face a clawback, higher prices, etc. If they go bankrupt first and then sell the patents, the company that buys the patents is protected. So these guys have very valuable patents. I would say odds are really, really high, 90% plus. They will sell those patents. The question is, do they go BK first? I would love for this stock to go bankrupt. I would buy this stock down in the 10 to 15 cent area just based on the assets they have. Up here, the stock was up big late after hours. Will probably bounce around on Monday, but definitely one that, once the BK talk usually swirls on these stocks, 9 out of 10 times it happens. So anyway, trade review on this one. The lesson to be learned here is take losses when they happen. Hold and hope does not work, especially in a bad market. And that's pretty much it. What separates a really good trader from one of those, 90% of guys who fail at this business is being able to take loss and identify a market when the time is right to take a loss. Hopefully you're on the latter camp and learn to take your losses. That's it for this quick little video tutorial. Hope you find it useful. Any questions, send me an email at feedback@buysellshort.com. Bye.